Hi there, Hilal. Nice to see that you've written another set of essays. Good job. Let's see what you said here, okay? So this is the one about getting married and having babies in your 30s. Here's what you said. Nowadays, there is an established trend of getting married and giving birth in midlife in contrast to young age. I personally believe that the advantages of this approach for couples and the child are manifold. This essay will discuss that, although the benefits of this trend are numerous, there are health concerns for the mother and child. All right, that's fine. Let's see how you developed it. In the modern era, people get financially settled late in life, and many believe financial security is a prerequisite for couples to get married and to conceive. Consistent with the line of thinking, people are inclined to tie the knot with a loved one when they are financially sound, as this enables them to enjoy a fairly luxurious life, as well as to provide better facilities to their child. For example, according to a documentary on the Discovery Channel, the average age of couples getting married in the subcontinent is 30 years. Thus, being financially sound is a very important marker for many to get married and to have a child. Okay. Fine. All right, okay, so you've got 3 body paragraphs. Let's see. The mental maturity for couples is considered equally important when the decision of marriage and conceiving a child, without the 4, is taken under consideration. Many believe maturity comes with age, so they wait until their 30s to finally settle. Settle down, by the way. Settle is something else. Another reason mental maturity is considered important is that the upbringing of a child is a huge responsibility. To illustrate, there are many studies conducted by WHO which indicate that childbirth at an early age can lead to depression among young mothers, as they are not mentally and emotionally mature enough. Hence, mental maturity is a very significant factor for the upbringing of a child and for a happy marriage. All right? The health issues relating to giving birth in late... Okay, so let's take a look at this. So far, you talked about how people get married in their 30s because they want to be financially sound, and also they are mentally more mature. Now, it sounds like here you're switching gears. So it's like you're now talking about the opposite side of the argument and why some people may think that this trend is negative, but you didn't do anything to kind of signal that you're doing this. So there were a lot of ways you could have done that. You could have said something like, that said, or despite the above. So some sort of marker showing that you are now changing your point of view and changing your perspective. So something like, despite the above, the health issues relating to giving birth in late 30s can cause serious consequences for couples. As women grow, not old, you're not old in your 30s, but you could say older. So as women grow older, the hereditary risks for the fetus during pregnancy also grow. It's grow because its risks grow. Similarly, the health risks for the mother also increase, and it can lead to serious complications during the postpartum period. Keeping in mind these health issues, it is evident that pregnancy for women in their 30s should be monitored closely by couples and healthcare providers. To conclude, the benefits of late marriage for couples and how about couples and children, are many, like being mentally mature and financially sound. On the other hand, health factors should be kept in mind when conceiving in late 30s. Okay, so, okay, so I like your essay. It's very developed, and it's really rather long. I clearly haven't done a word count. I would be interested to know how many words it is. And it's certainly, like I said, it's certainly developed. There's no question about that. You really went into a lot of detail, both primarily for this trend and to a lesser degree against the trend. Now, as you've learned on the course, we don't really support a 5-paragraph structure. We always are in favor of a 4-paragraph structure. So that's something I would have liked to have seen, because essentially, let me see if I can find it for you. Hold on. Okay, this is what I want to find for you. It's the band descriptors. It's the public version for Task 2. And take a look at Task Achievement Band 6. It says, addresses all parts of the task, although some parts may be more fully covered than others. Now, essentially, that's what you've done by having two enormous paragraphs in favor of the strand and one smaller, relatively speaking, paragraph on the other side. So, while I like the fact that you wanted to address both sides of this issue, and you mentioned that it's a complex issue, you should have been a little more balanced in terms of how much you developed each side, okay? Because examiners will be looking at that. Also, I was under the impression, let me see, let me just double check. You know what's also confusing? In the end, what are you more in favor of? I was under the impression, simply by the fact that you had two paragraphs in favor, that you are more in favor of getting married in one's 30s rather than younger. If that's the case, then the information against this trend should have come first, because we always talk about the side that we support less first, and then we talk about the side that we do support. We put it closer to our conclusion. So that's another change you needed to make here. But a lot of the essay I really liked. I thought it was well written. I liked your arguments. I thought they were well thought out, as I said before. So good job. Okay, let's take a look now at this lovely line graph about rain. So the given chart illustrates the amount of rainfall during the year 2018 for Great Britain. Get rid of the. In England, the year started with large amounts, S, of rain. So the S should have gone here and not here, nearly above 110 ml. However, the amount declined to below 90 ml during March. The fluctuations for the rest of the year were, now because you said S, fluctuations, were nearly between these 2 months. I see. Okay. I understand what you're trying to say. They weren't really nearly between these 2 months, but they were between these two figures. So between 90 and 110. I think that's what you're trying to say. Okay. Except during December, when it peaked the highest at around 125. I would also venture that in May it was quite, not May, I'm sorry, in May and June it was lower. Looks like it's about 75, no? So your figure here is not entirely accurate. Okay? You did say nearly, but still, but you're except. So I wouldn't have said except just December. I would have also said except in May and June when it was around 75. However, I like that you did it like this. That was a smart way to do it, because you've given us a range. You've given us the high point. You've given us kind of the low point. And pretty much told us that the rest of the year just fluctuated between those. So that was a really good way to deal with that. Scotland received 20 ml more rain than England at the start, but dipped down to below 25 ml in February. There was a sudden increase during March at 125 ml, followed by a second plummet in April. Okay? The year for the country ended with just above 100 ml in rain after fluctuations from May to December. Now, here is something, because that's a big chunk of time, isn't it? May to December is 7 months. So you really should have included some information about where those fluctuations were. Give me a range at least, right? So for Scotland, from May till December, I mean, you've got this highest point here at like 130 or so, and you've got that low point at around just about 50. So at least tell me that for the rest of the year, figures ranged from a low of 50 in November to a high of 130 in, what is that, October? Okay, and the figures were in that range. So something like that. You really should have at least given me some sort of indication of where the rest of the year was, because that's 7 whole months. That's quite a bit. Okay. Okay. the year for the country ended. All right, now I am glad though that you mentioned this. That's important. It's really important to tell me where the beginning point is and where the end point is, so that was good. All right, now let's look at Wales. Wales started the year with a record low of rainfall, no S, as compared to the other two countries with just below 50 ml rain in January. There was a further dip noted in April. Here you just want it at nearly below 30 ml. However, the period from August to September received a steady amount of rainfall at about 40 ml. This was the only country out of the three with the least amount of rainfall at the start and at the end of the 12-month no S period. Okay, you never really tell me though where it ends, do you? And that's really interesting because it's pretty much where it started is more or less where it ended. So that's a piece of information I would have liked to know, okay? So overall, the fluctuations are present for the three countries listed, but Wales received the least amount of total rainfall as compared to the other two countries in the 12-month, no S because it's an adjective here, period. All right, it's a pretty good job. I liked it. There were some little areas that needed a little more extension. I think I've explained to you which ones they were. I'm glad that you told me the beginning points for the most part, with maybe one exception. You mentioned the end points, and then when you had a lot of information, the ranges were a good idea. You did use them in some places, not so much in others, but on the whole, it was a pretty good job here. All right, go ahead, Hilal, correct these for us, return them back corrected. Let's see what you write for this next time. Good work, and I'm looking forward to seeing your next set.